Hey guys, it's Doc. Welcome into Women Play Football, WPF. And I'm here with somebody from the Music City, from the Misfits, from the WFA Division II. Keisha Sweitzer is joining me today to talk about her football journey. And the purpose of Women Play Football here on WPF is to focus on the stories of the women playing across women's tackle football in America and in North America, because in the AWFL, there is a franchise in Montreal. I think it's Montreal. So, and there's been teams I think pop up in Mexico as well. So this is an international game, and we're elevating the stories of women who play tackle football. So Keisha, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, not too bad. I had to take a physics final this morning, so I'm glad that that's over with. But
Yeah,
happy to
I'm
be
pretty
here.
sure I would misspell the word physics, so I will leave that to you. And my wife is an eye doctor. So I think that when the college advisor said you can take physics for your science credit, I think I dipped out quicker than commitment to any early relationships in my life. So I was like, no. There's also
Yeah.
the same advisor that put me in the class about rocks. They put me in geology, and
Oh, yeah.
they brought out a tray of rocks, and this real sweet guy. Used to work in the oil industry. He brings out rocks, and then I just went to the door and just got a withdrawal
I'm
sheet.
gonna go this way.
I'm
I'm
going to
good
go
on
that
that.
way. I'm going to take physical science. Which class
Hey,
is the
there you
most
go.
people in? Because that just wasn't my thing. But and it's crazy enough, I went on to become a global marketing director for a science-based company.
Well,
So
there you go. You got there somehow.
I got there somehow, and it sure wasn't in physics. So you're doing the hard stuff.
Whew, it is hard.
So where are you joining us from today here in America?
I am in Laverne, Tennessee, which is like maybe 15, 20 minutes away from Nashville if there's no traffic.
No traffic. I love how you say that. We talked a little bit before we went live to production for the show. Getting around Nashville has become extremely difficult. It is just total traffic. So I love the Music City. Been in the Music City. Did the Grand Ole Opry. I tried to adopt Dolly Parton as my grandmother. That didn't work. I just made my grandmother here very upset in Oklahoma. So tell me, how long have you been playing women's tackle football?
Well, this is my first season, and we started like workouts and stuff in September, and the season just ended at the beginning of June. So I haven't been playing very long. I'm my first year into my rookie season.
So you play in the WFA in Division
Yes.
Two for
Yes.
the Music City Misfits. How did you get recruited to play for the Misfits?
Well, it was actually quite a story. I was shopping at Walmart, and I got approached by someone, and they were like, "It looks like you could tear someone's head off." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Do you want to play women's tackle football?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And so they kind of told me what they were about and when the season started and when workout started, and I just showed up and I never stopped showing up.
What sports did you play growing up?
When I was younger, I played soccer. I played softball since I was about 6 years old. I actually basketball since I was about six. I went to college and actually played basketball as well. And I do a little bit of bowling.
Bowling?
Bowling, yes. I was
Let's
actually in the
go.
league.
Let's go. I am so bad at bowling. I never understood how to like curve the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, I don't curve it. I just throw it straight down the lane.
Just
I could never get the curl. Yep.
pure power. I
Pure
like
power.
it. I try that. I'm just scared of being like Wii bowling. I don't know if you ever played the Wii bowling.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
somehow they don't have legs, but then they do have legs if you drop the
And the,
ball behind you. It's a
right.
conspiracy that lives in
I
my
haven't
head.
played that in so long.
But Wii bowling and Wii went so hard. Like
They really did. They were there for like 3 to 4 years, and then it was just gone. But when they
RIP,
came, it was hard.
RIP the free game Wii Sports. Kids have
Right.
no idea this
You're the
stuff.
real MVP.
You're the real MVP of Wii Sports. So where did you play basketball at in college?
I played in Cicero. It's a small community college outside of Chicago. I played there for a year, and then I played at Judson University. It's no like D1, it was like a D2, but still it was an experience and it was super fun. Like I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. I played soccer in college. And so that's where if you see me wearing a shirt that says kickers are people too, that's from my buddy who is a kicker for the
Okay.
AWFL franchise in Oklahoma, the Rage. But, I kicked in high school, But then
Okay.
back then there was weird rules in Kansas because I played it at Independence Community College, The Last Chance U, that you've probably seen on Netflix. I
Yeah.
played there, and you couldn't play football and soccer unless you were from Kansas. Now they've now gotten rid of those residency rules, which I'm very upset about because I would have done both. What position do you play on the field for the Misfits?
I am the starting offensive tackle, particularly the right side. And that's where I started out. And I also played a little bit of defensive end. I saw some time there. And they were trying me out at tight end as well. But that was more towards the end of the season. We were trying to work on our passing game a little bit. And I think next year, that's going to be more of the focus is trying to
Mhm.
work on our pass game a little more.
So, what has been your most memorable experience in your first season of playing women's tackle football?
That first hit on the field, I won't ever forget that. I got put straight on my butt. But if I had to pick, being offensive line, you don't really get a lot of like highlight and glory plays. You're kind of in the background just doing your job. So I think whenever I got trench queen, which is like where you get the most blocks, no pressure on the quarterback for each game. When I got nominated for trench queen, the first game and the last game, that really made a sense of accomplishment because getting onto the line, they're tight knit. Like these people have been playing with each other for a while, so trying to get in there and get the respect, getting those awards, and then being nominated for All-American. That was. I remember when I got the message from my coach, I cried. So I was like, just to even be nominated for something like that as a rookie season, is awesome.
How has the understanding of the game going from somebody, I'm sure you watched football growing up with friends and family,
Yeah.
how different is it to actually be out there and start learning pass block and run block and the gap protection and one of the hardest things in my opinion as a special teams guy is special teams, right? Because then the way you block, your legs kind of lock when you step back that first step.
Yep.
So how has that been kind of transitioning over from a fan to now learning all the ins and outs of football?
At first, it was overwhelming. It was
Hmm.
overwhelming knowing I have, a certain job to do. But then when you're in the moment, you see all these other situations arise, but you have to remember to stick to your job and, trying to find those boundaries, being a rookie, you know,
Hmm.
only having limited knowledge, not actually having played the sport and trying to learn alongside people who have been playing it. We kind of had to learn from each other and we also had to reflect on past experiences that you've had to really make those quick, fast decisions to do your job and nothing more than your job.
Yeah.
So I say at the beginning it was overwhelming, but as I understood the flow of the game, because watching it and playing it is two totally different. It is two totally different worlds. Actually being in those situations, you could see where, people could make mistakes and not necessarily know what's going on. But, sticking with my teammates and using them as like a reference, I think we really were able to come together and learn a lot as a rookie group.
100%. Did you have teammates that had experience going into this season?
But yeah, definitely. There are people that have been on the team for 6, 7 years already. But we also had about, what was it, 7 or 8 new rookies that played influential roles on the team. So it was that clash of old knowledge and new flair coming together and trying to find a way to make that work.
Is there a teammate or a few teammates that really stick out to you that kind of took you under your wing to kind of help level you up in the game of women's tackle football?
Absolutely, absolutely. Jay Watts, she actually got hurt like right before our first game. I come to the field with big emotions. I'm a
Mhm.
competitor. I want to be the best. I want to do good. And when you're not out there trying something new and you're not succeeding the first time or the second time, you kind of look inside yourself and see, what's wrong. She helped me pull my head out of my own butt and focus on what was important. And she just stayed by my side the whole entire season. She was great support. And then another person was Asha. She really broke it down for me because she was a veteran, and
Mhm.
she kind of saw herself in me at her rookie season, and she kind of could relate to some of the difficulties I was going through with kind of being a part of the team. So I think without those two, I probably would have crashed out already.
I'm going to stay on my best behavior. There's a specific incident that happened recently that I think of when I hear a crash out, but I'm going to stay on my best behavior. You can just do a search of women's tackle football on social media and you'll find what I'm talking
You'll
about.
probably find it, yeah.
You'll find it. But to keep me in the good graces of certain people, I will not mention it. What do you think is the biggest misperception or misunderstanding that people have about women's tackle football?
That it's soft.
Hmm.
That they think we're out there just they're picturing the housewife, at the kitchen, at that sink, in the
Mhm.
kitchen cooking, out there, trying to play football. No, girls out there will tear your head off. We're out there putting in all the sweat, blood, and tears just as much as any other person playing any other sport. Because if you have a competitive drive and you care about what you're doing, you're not going to go out there and put in half the effort. We are out there working just as hard as everybody else, and it is not soft.
And what I say to people, and we do sports broadcasts as part of what we do with my
Mhm.
company, but there's nothing like being on the sideline and watching a football game. And when you get down there for a women's tackle football game, even if you have some misperceptions or assumptions, that's going to change real fast
Real quick.
because pads are popping, helmets are clanking,
Yes.
and there's you just get bought in. I'll send you a picture that was captured of me from the last playoff game with the Rage,
You're
where I'm just
probably
like screaming with this hype
Yes. How
because
can you not? We're out there
yeah,
play we pay to play. So
hundred
it's not like
percent.
we're out there making a paycheck or, getting a salary out there. Yeah, we have a good time, but we're out there to win. We're out there to compete, and we already know the whole world is watching because we're women playing football. So we have even more to prove. I feel like with the more eyes on us, we have more to prove.
No, 100%, and I agree with you that every time that ladies across North America go play, there's so much to prove because there's so many doubters who, to your point, Keisha, that are fighting against that women can do this, right? Or should be allowed to do this. They have this old, broken ideology about what a woman is in modern
Yes.
society. And it's like, no, we're
That
breaking
is
through
so
that.
far gone. We're so far past that now, and they just need the sooner we embrace it, the better off it'll be, I think, for everybody.
100%. And I think, I've talked about this a lot, but it takes unity for all of us in this space to come
Yes,
together and talk about a future that works for everybody, a future that gets money down to the players, trickle through the players. So that we make sure that you're being compensated. Now, this probably is never going to be at the level of an NIL deal at the University of Tennessee up in Knoxville by you.
that would be amazing.
That would be amazing, right?
That would be amazing.
You're like, school? Nah, I just got
Yeah,
my NIL
right,
check from Raising Cane's, I'm just getting
right.
so but there's got to be a level where we raise the standards for travel and all and everything else for support. So that way the burden for you guys to be out there playing is lessened, right? To
Right,
some degree.
right.
And that the respect is given because it is earned by what you guys are doing.
Yes, that
And
part.
I think that's the hardest thing for people to get at. Now I know in your league, and across the different leagues, the WNFC as well as the AWFL, there's different broadcast partners, individual teams are live stream. Exposure is everything. And
Yes.
speaking of exposure, your video on TikTok got 4.8 million views of you
It
going from just
did.
normal get up to just doing that hype where it's like, "Duh, duh, duh," and it goes into
Yep.
you wearing your Misfits gear. What was
Yeah.
that like going viral?
Well, it happened. I had posted the video a week before, like a week before our first game, because we had media day. We took pictures and everything. And I wanted to kind of get some transition videos. I mean, I'm playing football. This is freaking sweet.
Yeah.
So I do it, and then like the day before the day of our game, I'm watching it go from 1 million to 2 million, and I'm just like, what is going on? It was surreal, but
Mhm.
then I looked into it a little bit more, and I seen all the comments and everything, and it is legit just a bunch of men hating on a woman for trying something new. And regardless of if their comments were negative or positive, it was getting exposure. It was bringing about the conversation, and that's what needs to happen is the conversation off of social media. The conversations you have with your buddy when you're standing in line somewhere. Like, "Oh,
Mhm.
did you see?" That's where the respect and that's where the exposure is going to come from most. Is just the general conversation. It's not necessarily a viral TikTok. Just getting that conversation started is the important part.
And
But it
I
was
think
awesome.
oh, yeah. That that's doing numbers. That's
Yeah.
big time numbers right there because that
Yeah,
opens
it
up
was
the
pretty cool.
floodgates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you able to monetize it?
No, not yet. Nope, was not able to monetize it. I don't have that many followers yet. I have 7,000, I think you need, like, 10.
Okay, you're
But
close.
we're getting there, we're getting there. By the
Yeah.
time next season rolls around, I'll be ready.
All right. I have no doubt. We could do like I don't know if you remember like PBS, they would do like phone drives back in the day and they're like,
Oh,
call
yeah.
phone bakes. call in right now. We could do a follower
Right.
drive.
Yes.
And for yourself as well as for ladies across women's tackle football, because put some respect on their name. There's real content out there you can engage with, both on the field
Yes,
and off the field content that you'll be engaged with and you'll enjoy.
for
So
sure.
okay, so you got recruited at Walmart of all places. If you had to recruit a lady across America to play women's tackle football with you, what would be your recruiting pitch to them?
If you feel like you're missing something, because as we get older, we don't have time for friends like that. We don't really have a whole lot of time to spend for ourselves. This is something I did for myself to prove that
Mhm,
I can. It has built so much confidence in myself. It helps keep me in shape and just the sisterhood of being a part of something big.
mhm,
And on the cusp of this transition, I feel like Caitlin Clark made a huge step for women's sports, just women's sports in general.
yeah,
To get on that trail that she has blazed for that and have the potential to make a real difference for women. That's the only way we're gonna achieve this is if we really do come together as women. And the sisterhood you get from this, it I can't even explain it because it's nothing like I've ever experienced. And knowing that someone else is out there going hard for you, the blood, sweat, the tears, the time. They're not
mhm.
getting paid for it. They're out there for you. We're out there for each other. And I think that support is unmatched from any other sport, even other sports that I've played. You just can't match it.
No, and until you're a part of it, you don't really understand it.
Right.
In football, there's so many moving pieces to make the game, what happens on the field happen, as well as all the off the field stuff to make sure everything runs correctly. There's so much that goes into it and so many people that will never play a down, but make so much of an impact for those who do out there. Now tell me, who do you play for when you strap up and you put yourself on the line out there for the Misfits? Who are you trying to make proud?
I would say it may sound cheesy, but my younger self. When I played football when I was younger, I was told I shouldn't, I couldn't, I can't. Being a woman, we're already told we couldn't, shouldn't, wouldn't do all this other stuff. I'm doing that for me. I'm
Mhm,
doing that for the little girl who happened to come with her mom to watch their daughter play. And I hope she sees me out there. I may not get the ball every time. I may not, make huge highlights all the time, but it's the fact that I'm out there doing it anyway. I'm doing it because I want to, because I love the game. And I hope that they see that. I know my younger self would be stoked right now that I am playing. When I held up that jersey for the first time, I said, "No way is this real." It's almost like a little kid dream. It truly is. I'm just blessed to be able to do that at a time like this. I have a supporting family, my friends, they all support me in this and that's what it's about.
100%. And I remember as a kid when the WNBA got started, and back then, every team had a big brother team, right? An NBA franchise as well. And we didn't have a team in Oklahoma, but we had the Houston Comets, right? And they were just amazing. Have won 4 consecutive WNBA championships. And I just remember they were selling out their arena there, which is now, I believe, Joel Osteen owns it for his church, his mega church. But it broke my heart when the Houston Comets went away, and then the league really struggled in the early 2000s. A lot of teams folded, the Portland Fire, the Miami Soul, and then teams got bought out for pennies, and it was sad. But being part of that driving force to let people see what can happen when we invest the love and energy and money into women's sports, it'll change everything. And as a young boy growing up, I mean, I didn't see a difference. I just was watching the Houston Comets ball out with Cynthia
Yeah.
Cooper, and I was just like Tina Thompson and Cheryl Swoops. Like, I just didn't know a difference. I just thought, man, ball is ball. And they played with the cool, like, striped ball back in the day.
Yes.
And so now, as a dad of 2 little girls, having the Houston Comets come back for the WNBA is gonna be huge coming up for us in this part of the country. But just knowing that my girls have the potential to go to a game, and it's the same thing with women's football. You're kind of at this, cusp of, we've really gotta come together, and make that investment that's needed so that we don't miss the next generation of first-time players and people who fall in love with it, kinda like at yourself, right? You're just going down
Yes.
Walmart. Walmart's a weird place to begin with, number 1,
Yeah.
but just
Right.
be like, "Hey, you look like you can knock somebody out."
I was like, "Yours?" No.
But it's so important. Would you say that flag football hurts or helps the growth of women's tackle football?
Think it is helping. because it's not like a man's sport, like football. They say it's their sport. So this is kind of a way to kind of get people familiarized with
Mhm.
the word woman in football, even if there's a flag in there, to help them come to more understanding and know exactly what it is that they're doing out there. When you think football, you think, oh, they're just hitting each other. But once you get out there and they get a chance to experience what it's really about, maybe they might want to take it to the next level. Maybe they don't. That's okay. But getting that exposure and getting everyone used to the fact that women can play football, I think it's getting that conversation started, which is where change is going to be made.
Now, in Tennessee, do they have girls flag football at the high school level?
I think they just implemented to where every high school is going to start offering flag
I
football. And our team actually has a flag football team that we're playing in championship weekend too. So we kind
the
of
Hall
have,
of Fame?
yes,
Yes. I will say from the AWFL side, like they have integrated I believe a co-ed flag football tournament for the Sunday. So Saturday is all pro and then the championship game at night and then flag football the next day. So I feel like we've seen this integration kind of across the three leagues.
yes,
So it is a great funnel, to get people in to consider tackle football. Some people aren't built for hitting though.
no,
So flag football is fun, and yes, you could get hurt playing flag football. You could get hurt walking out your door tomorrow,
right, of
but
course,
it's a little bit different when you strap up to play versus playing flag football. But it also just builds that camaraderie as a team if you're able to do
yes.
both. So I think that's really important. What do you think is the biggest weakness of the state of women's tackle football right now?
I'd have to say, like, just the lack of resources
Yeah,
and the lack of consistency in exposure. There's nowhere where you can just tune in and automatically know that you're going to be watching a football game, a women's football game. Now, and in my hometown, we are sponsored by the Chapstick Lounge. So every time we played, they kind of played at their bar. But it's the little seclusions of support. We need to try to open up that and have everyone connected. Like, hey, women's football is starting. Let's prepare for that. And that also is going to come into play when all the leagues either come together or completely separate themselves at the same time, because there's different rules in the different leagues. There's different it's a mess. It's a
yeah,
hot mess. And
yeah.
we need to be more consistent. And I think the sooner we get consistent, the more people are going to want to buy in and help us with those resources. We got to figure out what we're doing here.
What do you hope that you're remembered for whenever you do hang up your cleats as a women's tackle football player?
Well, hopefully it's not anytime soon. I'm just getting started.
You're just
I'm
getting
just getting
started.
started. Yes, I am hooked. I guess I want to remember for my work ethic and how I supported the bigger picture, because I'm constantly approached about, you play women's football? Tell me about it. I'll be the first one to tell you all about it. So I want to be known as one who strong work ethic, mental and physical toughness, and just my versatility, being able to play, any position, being knowledgeable about it off the field as well, and talking to others about the bigger picture. I think being a part of this team in today's day and age is a lot more than just showing up to practice.
Mhm.
It's about how you conduct yourself out in the real world and how you get that conversation started with others.
100%. And I'm a big advocate of kind of that boots on the ground mentality where we have to self advocate for ourselves as women's tackle football out there. So, is it going to high schools, talking to girls' flag football programs, going to colleges and helping recruit players, right? And so
Yes.
that when they have like a big tent out on the campus that your franchise is there and you're talking about, hey, here's how did you play sports in high school? Were you competitive? What life and schedule got in the way, here's an opportunity for you to play and to get back and be part of something bigger. So I think there's a lot of strategic and tactical things that could be done, but it starts with having more people like yourself, Keisha, that wants to be out there telling the story about what it is and what it can be. I think it is really important. Who do you think when you have people watch you, is there somebody that you're really hoping that you impress? Maybe kids, family members, friends, like what makes you kind of look to the stands? Like if you think back to it, like a kid, I used to identify my mom, where's my mom?
Well, there's someone that's not in the stands that I hope is watching. That'd be my grandmother. She was always like my biggest supporter. She made me a huge scrapbook, of like my whole basketball career, of every newspaper clipping, and every time I was even in the newspaper, I don't have to look up at the stands to know that she's watching. So, I mean, just having my friends and my family there supporting me in general, just knowing that they're there is enough for me. I don't need a specific reaction from anybody. I know it's cool. I know it's badass. I'm just ready. I'm ready for it to I hope I get to see the potential, the full potential of
Yeah.
what I'm doing. I hope I get to see some real change.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to family members who we've lost, who have made, life altering impacts on our lives, they're always there with us, not only in our thoughts, but in our hearts. And, you know, to your point, sometimes we judge ourselves based off hearing their voice, things they used to say to us,
Yeah.
growing up and getting on to you or praising you. And I think it's all about one day being reunited with those people and thinking of seeing their face again. I lost my dad. It'll be 1 year this Saturday. So the conference championship game for the AWFL will be the 1 year anniversary. So, he loved football of any type. So I definitely think he'll be watching. So I hope we don't get down for my favorite team in the AWFL. And I have to try to have an Angels in the outfield situation where I'm just praying selfishly. I'm like, come on, we need a
Please, please.
fumble. We need a
I'll eat
big
all
hit.
I'll eat all my vegetables.
Yeah. Shout out. That movie, Angels in the Outfield, just became
Yes.
available to stream for the first time in its history. It turns 30 years old today.
Well, maybe that's what's wrong, is no one's seen Angels in the Outfield. That's the
Yes.
problem.
They need to see it. Danny Glover. Man, there's so many people. Matthew McConaughey, before he got
Yes.
famous.
Yep.
I could go on and on. Outside of football, what is your most important identity that you have, or role that you take on, that you take a lot of pride in what you do outside of football?
I would say the role I take a lot of pride in is being a mother. They are my wife's biological kids, so I am their stepmom. Coming into their life and knowing, I mean, just in the short amount of time that me and my wife have been together, I've already seen some of me rub off on them. So I hope that them watching me, go to school full time for rad tech, play football, have a job, and take care of them and my dogs and everything. I hope that they see that hard work pays off. Perseverance pays off, and you can do something that you love. You may miss it when you're younger, but opportunities come every single day, and to be able to take those opportunities and hold myself accountable.
I think at the end of the day, when you have those opportunities to impact young ones out there, as a dad myself, like, you've got to take those opportunities to show them the success and the failures throughout life, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, because they need to know the honesty behind life and that we can learn from all of those successes and failures and kind of figure out everything from there. But no, I don't know how you're balancing it, taking physics, helping raise kids, and you're putting up with haters online, because there are two things I want to bring up. One, I think you made a video about somebody's making fun of you as a football player. I
Yep.
don't know if it was a TikTok video, and I watched it and I was just like, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
You tell them,
Yep.
girl.
Yes. Yes.
And then I think there was another one. Was it your teammate that sang the national anthem?
Yes. Yep. Brashana.
Yeah, she did awesome. And then all the hate in the comments, like, guys, people are online way too much and thinking that it is a
They
safe
are.
space to hate. It is not. Do not hate online.
I give a little bit back every once in a while, but I just go like it, because I mean, you're helping the algorithm. So either way, I still
You're
win.
Hey, the drive to 10K, the drive to 10K. Do not forget.
Yes. Let's go.
Let's go. As we wrap up, what would you say to everybody out there listening is your ideal future for women's football?
Ideal future for women's football. I would say to make it official. Even though we're out there and it's official to us, I think having America back us would help legitimize us to the public eye. I think getting recognized as a professional sport would open up so many different avenues for exposure, for NIL deals, for just all around treating women equal.
Yeah. And I think that's what it all comes down to. And, like I said from the top, with Women Play Football and kind of our initiative and my team's initiative with that is, we want to elevate the stories of the people who are actually playing the game and contributing to the game happening. And it's so important that people see that there's people from all backgrounds that are balancing kids, that are balancing school, that are balancing trying to make things work in modern America and
Yeah.
and inflation and all these things. We're just trying to make it happen, all while still pursuing our dreams as competitive athletes
Yes.
on the field. because we cannot lose as a society, we cannot lose a sense of competitiveness, and we
No.
can't lose sight as individuals of dreaming. And I think as long as we commit to those two things, we will push forward. And the lessons we learned from football or basketball or badminton, whatever it may be, will guide us to become better versions of ourselves as
Yes.
parents, as employees, and as sons and daughters and husbands and wives
Right.
across America. And I think it just takes that. And so the momentum, sometimes you got to start your own boat and get it going.
Yep.
And I think, through our conversation today that we're both in the same boat on
Yeah,
that. And kind of,
for sure.
we'll paddle if we have to,
Yes, I
row
will.
ourselves out there. So there's so much hope in the game of women's tackle football and so many great stories to share. And Keisha, I'm so glad that you're able to join us on Women Play Football. And I hope that one day that all the leagues kind of come together. So that way, maybe my favorite franchise can play against the Music City Misfits. Because I'm hoping for a
Yes.
long career out of you so
Yes.
that we can see you one day. And then, you have the invite. You've definitely got to lead a breakout group. If my dream of hosting a Women Play Football Summit down in Dallas, which again, you can watch the video when I pitched it,
Yes.
you would take me up on that because I just think you have a beautiful voice and it would be amazing for you to help empower other women and raise up their voice as well. So
I
know
am
that that
grateful
invite's
for that.
out there.
I will
Um,
be right there. I
I
will be there.
appreciate it. I
I will
appreciate
be
it. So thank you so much for joining us today. Get out there and support women's tackle football in your community. And you never know, you might get recruited at a Walmart. Might look like somebody who can knock somebody's head off and get in there in the trenches and play on the O line and D line. And coming next year, big time touchdowns from Keisha at tight
Yes.
end. So thanks for joining us today. I'm Tuck for Keisha. This is Women Play Football.